Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome everybody to another live. I am Captain Matt, and we are really zoomed in today. Hope you guys are doing well, and let's see who is all on with us. I saw a few folks on. Jerry, welcome. Bennett Burke, welcome. That is a new name. Maybe it was on last week. Now that I'm thinking that. Kings of the City, welcome to have you. Good to have you back. Hate to say boating weather, things come and gone in Kentucky. 211 is on his first year in his center console on Cumberland. Bo from Washington, welcome. Finally settled on a boat. 99 Bayliner Capri, very nice. The Cuddy, just what you've been looking for. The 5.0, nice. With the Alpha Drive, good setup. Hopefully all that goes well if you haven't done the demo yet and all that. Rob, good to have you. Rob's been a long time subscriber. Yes, definitely send me some pictures. Corey, good to have you. Welcome. Corey's been a long timer. Bo's been a long timer. Or Saint Kings in the City has been with us. I think pretty much this whole year, this whole season. Bo's been with us, I think, since the beginning. Ray's been with us since the beginning. Feels there. Yes, finding the right one. Jason or 211 has been all this season. I don't know if he was there last season or not, but great to have the crew on. Went out yesterday, good for a little bit. Clouds rolled in, rain started. Yeah, we had rain all day today and part of yesterday. Temps dropped. Yeah, we're in the 80s now here. I'm just outside of Charlotte, and Jason's on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky, near Lexington. I don't know what the actual place is. But I wanted to show. Yeah, Bo, definitely send me your pictures. I wanted to show. Let's see here. How am I going to do this? I think I'll just drag this over. So we got a bunch of new reviews in. I was just responding to one as that video was playing. This is from Russell. He happens to be on Lake Norman. I didn't even know he was a Norman guy, and but a couple of 5-star ones that I haven't responded to yet. Where is the one that I'm looking for? Newest. That's what I'm looking for. Bob, Richard, Dennis, George, Steve. There we go. David Menderia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but this is the Stingray, 2019 Stingray, 19 foot with I think it was a 150. I don't remember for sure, but he sent me this pic and had some great things to say. He actually sent this to me last week, but he has been watching all the videos and just wanted to give him a quick shout out. If you guys ever want to share some pictures, this is Charlie's Yamaha jet boat, or you know him as Hux. This is my daughter's doing a little sunset tubing. This is, let's see, this is a guy up in New Jersey. I don't remember for sure what his name was, but if you want to post, this was us. I think this was last year. My girls, yeah, those, we've got new jackets now. But if you want to post, just go search Boater Secret Weapon, and you can share any of your photos. This is, who is this? This might be Sustainability's daughter, our granddaughter, or somebody. I don't remember exactly, but somebody sent that. This was from down in New Orleans. Oh crap, Chris was his name. Who was this guy? I don't remember who this is, but if you want to post a picture, I don't remember who that was. Oh, Mike Plunchy. It'll show your name if you post it. If you send me, this is Rhonda Harner. This is after she had a surgery on her leg and was watching a bunch of my videos and sent that to me. She bought a pontoon over in Myrtle Beach. But if you want to post your pictures of your boat, any of your boating outing, this is Robert Bonavito. This is the guy up in New Jersey. That was his fish haul that I posted the other day. But feel free to post them. It's kind of fun to see everybody's stuff. Bo, your video. But appreciate everybody that left all the reviews. Very, very much appreciated all the time. Matter of fact, a bunch more snuck in. I need to go through them. Not sure if I ever get used to the bow anchor locker. Yeah, that's sometimes those can get a little tiny. Yeah, I'll look Bo, and I just saw your note. I'll pull those up here. Hopefully having my email up doesn't slow me down too much. Started watching November, December last year when buying the boat was the thing I knew was happening. Yeah, that's when a lot of people find me early in the process. Some people find me like right when they find their boat, but it's always, as long as you find me, that's good. Let's see here. All right, here is, this is what Saint is looking at, our bow up in Washington State. Man, that looks great. That looks really nice. What year did you say that was? 99. Yeah, so a 99 2052 Cuddy. Man, that bow, that looks clean. That baby looks really clean. Yeah, that looks real nice, Bo. You got a little bit of water stain there. I don't know. Well, let me go big on that. little bit of water stain up here, which maybe I would pull that panel down and see what's going on. That may be coming from the anchor locker that you're talking about, um, unless it is coming from this hatch and running down. But that headliner looks totally dry. Um, or maybe check the rub rail. That could be another spot if that rub rail separating a little bit, like right there. That water could be taking a big wave, could be splashing up in there somehow. But yeah, that looks great. Nearby in Oregon, looks like. So congratulations, man. Looks like a real good find. So let's see what's happening in the world. Let me know. Throw out any questions. Um, since it was damp. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding the source. And I mean that boat is super clean. Um, but somewhere water's getting in, and it's just a matter of sealing it up, and maybe spraying some bleach solution to make sure that mold gets killed. And I'm guessing that liner right there will come out pretty easily and allow you to clean that up real easy. Pull this. That looks like it might just be a cushion sitting there. Pull that out. Pull this cushion in the V berth out, and you'll see exactly what's going on in there. So very good. Congratulations on that. Let's see what else has been happening in the world. On what was I going to show? Hang on. Somebody sent me something the other day that I was going to show. No, not that. Who was that sent it to me? Oh, here we go. Herb. I don't know if Herb's on today. Oh, it's yours. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. I didn't know it was already a done deal. Let's see here. Switch to that. So this was in Tahoe couple weeks ago, over Labor Day. This was in Tahoe over Labor Day, and Herb sent it to me. But they've got mooring fields out there because it's the marina space is really limited. So they've got some mooring fields, but a big storm popped up, and it actually overturned several boats. And this is them pulling up a Nautique. Um, the it looks like Cito, or I'm sorry, Boat US, the red boats were out there raising it, and he had sent me that, just showing. Oh, here we go. Watch this, Lewis. I'm gonna get to you here in just a second. I think you were on last week, so this was. Yeah, uh, that's some pretty serious. Ooh, I don't know what the heck that thing is. That's some pretty serious chop out there. So anyway, thank you for sending that. If you jump on or watch this later, I didn't see your name in the comments, but thanks for that. All right, Lewis was on last week and asked a couple questions. Buying a 2011, I think it was a 260 dancer, if I remember right. Survey was good. Compression showed 125 on 2 cylinders. Sea trial Friday did okay, 38. another compression test tomorrow. So on the compression test, I think you sent me maybe you sent me an email, but anyway, the 5.0 fuel injected, and I think the 350 mag. I'm not 100%. The the compression is 180 or 220. I don't remember which. But what you really want is you want all of the cylinders to be within a 10%. So let's say it's 220, or let's say 180, because I think that's what it is. So you would want 180, and you would want it in a range of 10%. So you can go down to, what is that, 162 would be within the range, and go up to 198. So 200 to 160 in that range would be acceptable. So 125 is low if I'm right on the 180. Now, if everything else is 125, would be out of whack there, even if it was 160, or if the others, let me know what the other cylinders were. But the other thing is that compression, it can come back up. So if the engine hadn't been run for a while or something, so doing another check is a good thing. You can also do 38 miles an hour on that boat, 260 single engine. That's about right for that boat. Now, I don't know how much weight you had in it, how much fuel, how much gear. I assume if they're selling it, it's probably empty. So see what the test is. If it doesn't come up and it's on 2 cylinders, it's outside of the line that I would be comfortable. And where were you? Were you outside? Are you outside of Chicago? 350. Okay, so everything else is 155. So 10% would be 15. That would be 40. So that'd be 140. Yeah, it's well below. Probably. Let me see here. What is good compression on a 2011 350 mag Mercruiser boat engine? Yeah, I want to say 180 is where it should be. I look for signs of overheating. And I don't think there were a ton of hours, if I remember right. New Orleans, okay, Gulf Coast. Yeah, the engine was sitting for a year, so maybe it's just a matter of, all right, you ran it a little bit, you got all the oil coming. You may have some bad seals. Hasn't been run for a year. How was it put away? Yeah, if it doesn't come up and the boat was sitting for a year and it's in salt water, I would start to get a little nervous, Lewis. I think I would consider, hey, what's the replacement of an engine going to look like for me? If it's catastrophic, what does that look like for me? And then what price am I paying? And I would definitely negotiate. I would use that to get a additional discount from where you're at, because that is lower than what it should be. Sea Ray 260 Sundancer for sale, Atlanta, Georgia. And Lewis, I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia, because one of the things that I like to do is I like to go to a freshwater market if it's within 2010, 2012. If it's within, when did they redo that? 2000. nine. I think 2008s are different. Maybe it's 2007, but anyway, I like to go to if I'm at the coast and I'm in saltwater. I like to go a little bit further inland to find, hey, are there any freshwater ones where it would be valuable or worth my while to haul this boat back and to travel? I am not seeing anything. Georgia. $26, $28. Yeah, and there weren't a ton of those built um in that vintage. Let's add see some in Dallas. Okay, yeah. Um I'm gonna have to I gotta look at a map. I'm so dumb. I don't know what maybe Lake Martin in Alabama. What's in Mississippi? Jackson, Texas. Tallahassee, Alabama. Lake Martin's up north. Let's go Alabama. Let's add that to the list. And if you got other questions, Bubba, I'll get to you here in just a little bit. Well, they're not Florida, Louisiana used. Well, I bet I this is probably the one you're looking at right here. Um, I'm looking to see if there's a gen on this one. I guess I could probably look in the. All right, so no generator. That's I was looking to see if we needed to find a generator. Um, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's really interesting that there's not many um, in the area. Here's one. This is near me. Actually, I know um, this one is at the dealership that I used to sell for. Um, and let's see, what year is this? 2010 for 60. Um, so this is a freshwater wake. I'm just outside Charlotte, North Carolina, so that's a little bit of a haul. Um, but let's see if it's got the 350 in it. I would call if this is if you go do your compression check, but have this up your sleeve as a plan B, as a boat to talk about, um, to talk with. That it's got a generator, which is nice. Um, it's a year older, but it's fresh water. So I don't know where you ended up on 320 hours, 350 mag with 320 hours AC generator. No trailer though, so I don't know if that matters to you or not. But I would talk to, let's see, Carl's the general manager there. Um, but talk to, oh shoot, the sales guys. He's a really nice guy. But if you're interested, tell him that Captain Matt, you were on the live with Captain Matt from Boater Secret Weapon, and get the scoop on this boat, because it's a good, reliable dealership. The general manager is about as honest as you can get, but we're 10 hours, 12 hours away. So anyway, that's why I like to look, is because you never know what will pop up. Um, Maryland, that one, Louisiana, 2011, 2010. So it's 11 grand less and fresh water, but that one has a trailer. I don't know if it's included or not. Another one, 2011, from Ohio. Again, freshwater, which is great, but you've got to travel to go get it. New York's too far away. Miami, same situation. Surf City. And I got a guy that could transport it down for you if you wanted. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna leave you with that. I got to get to Bubba. He's been waiting patiently. BC Outdoors, welcome. Good to have you. Let's see. Anyone trying to get their kids into boat motors? I might be spendy, but it's a really great school. Talked to 3 different employers. Nice, awesome. Yeah, I had a feeling as you got further into it that you were going to find that you were going to find a home, because technicians that have a good work ethic are valuable, very, very, very valuable. Bubba, enjoy your videos. Looking at getting my first boat. Have to have a dual console because of a medical condition. Okay. Looking at either Carolina Skiff or Robalo or Grady or Freedom, or Grady 21, 23 Freedom, all new, good brands, models. Are their brands, models comparable? You've got, Bubba, you've got a whole bunch of great options out there. Okay. So when you look at a 21 dual console for sale, we'll just look at Boat Trader. Hey, Bubba, tell me where you are, where you're located. I'll share a couple of things. But I've got. Do I have a? No, I don't. If you watch my best and worst center console, pretty much, if they make a center console, they make a dual console. Almost everybody does. So if you watch this video, you've got. So, all right. So these are boats that I actually looked at. Now I looked at the center console models. I've seen a bunch of the dual consoles. So what you're looking at right now, the best, but the most expensive is going to be the Grady. Okay. All day long, Grady is a top tier boat. Okay. The 21, the 23 Freedom, top tier. Robalo's in the middle. A bunch of mid tier builders that make dual consoles. And then Carolina Skiff is going to be, so it's Grady. Yeah, let me leave that there. It's Grady, Robalo, and then Carolina Skiff. In that mid tier, you've got a whole bunch of options that, let me see here. And it sort of depends on where your budget falls. But here's my, let me see if you, I know, all right, so you're in St. Augustine. You have got a lot of great dealers down there. It depends on, like, the question I ask in, in the toolkit. Hopefully, Bubba, you've got this. You can download it totally free. It's the Boat Buyers Toolkit. It's like 28 pages. It's checklist, questions to ask. It's not real fancy, but it's super, super valuable. So you're looking new. So I'm assuming warranty is important to you. I don't know why I am so close. It feels like I am like really, really zoomed in. But anyway, so I'm assuming warranty is important to you. What's really important is that you find a brand that's in the right tier. So you've got premium, what I target as premium, mid-tier, and value. So you have one of each. You've got the Grady is premium, the Robalo is mid-tier, and then the Carolina Skiff is I call it a value brand. And the reason Carolina Skiff is in there is because it's just bare bones. It's not a lot of extra fluff. Now you can add all that stuff to it, but their 21 LS Sport, if I pull that up, Skiff 21 LS Sport. It is a couple of things that you'll notice about it. Compared to the others, the bottom is super flat. It's much, much flatter than I don't even need to pull the Robalo up or the Freedom or the Grady's, but it's much flatter, which means it's going to be much more stable, but much, much rougher, right? The more freeboard you have on a boat, or freeboard, dead rise. So this is dead rise. It's the angle. It's that angle of at the back of the boat, at the transom. The sharper, I don't know if these all have the same bottom, but the sharper that angle, the more it's going to slice through the chop, right? And the smoother the ride's going to be. But also, the sharper that angle, the more the boat's going to rock because of that angle, right? So it depends on, you say, because of a medical condition. If it is, that LS isn't a dual console. Let me see. I'm guessing. Let me see. Come on. Carolina Skiff 21. LS dual. That's the Fun Chaser. Okay, so this is still the Fun Chaser is Carolina Skiff's sister company. So all right, now I'm getting it. But you can still see it's essentially the same hull, but they're putting the deck on it is going to be the dual console. Let's see if they give us a view. You can see though that it's got that same flat look to it. I'm almost certain that our dead rise is going to be the same. Let's see if they tell us what it is in the spec. So draft, transom, gunnel height. Yeah, they're not giving us a dead rise because it's not much, is my guess. So you've got that. Okay. If stability is valuable for you, or if it's, hey, for me, my medical condition, I just need a seat. I need a seat to sit in versus a leaning post, then that's different. Then the dead rise may not matter. But that's one of the things. The Carolina Skiff is going to ride rougher in rough chop, but it's going to be a little bit more stable as you're moving around in the boat and as you're in chop. The Robalo is a nice mid-tier boat, but so are all these: Sea Hunt, Scout, Pathfinder, Sportsman, Key West, Sea Pro, Nautic Star, Robalo, and Creval. So I know the dealer in Jacksonville that carries Key West. Brad down there is an awesome guy, and they've got that's a good, solid mid-tier boat. Okay, they're a little bit further south of you, but I don't know if there's another Key West dealer in St. Augustine or not. But the dealer is as important, if not more important, than the actual brand of boat. It may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but they're the ones that's going to support you when there's an issue that comes up, when there's a warranty claim. And there, Bubba, there will be a warranty claim of some kind. Okay. So location is also important when it comes to dealer. If you can find a good quality dealer that's near you in St. Augustine that has one of these brands, that you like the layout, it fits your budget, that would be the one that I would start steering towards. The Grady, the Grady is, and in this video, I walk through. If you want to look at, so the top tier are premium, the Grady, the Whaler, like the what's the Whaler? The Venture, Venture, I think. Blackfin, I don't think they do one. Everglades does. Edgewater, I don't know if they do. Regulator does not make a 21. They may not. Pursuit may make a. No, Pursuit doesn't go down that low. Pursuit 21. But that's going to be the premium level. There's going to be a $50,000 difference in price point. Maybe not that much, 30,000. There's going to be a significant difference. 24 is the smallest that they go at Pursuit. But so depending on where your budget lies is what I would start looking at. Dustin, I'll get with you here in just a second. I just saw you. 80%. My son and I fishing and cruising with wife, sometimes with us. Warranty big. Budget can probably be stretched to include Grady. Wife likes the Grady, of course. That sounds right. That checks out. They have it a few weeks ago. They might have discontinued it. What I've been told. Grady White 20. Yeah, 215 Grady. And yeah, I'm almost certain all of these manufacturers are going to have some sort of rebates when Grady Day sales event is going on now, so they're going to have something going on for. Yeah, they're going to have something going on for the 21, but hopefully that gives you a few things to think about. If you're, hey, the premium brands are going to be better built. They're going to be a better ride. They're going to have fewer things wrong with them, and they're going to be more durable over time. Things like wire connectors are going to be heat shrink, so you're going to have fewer electrical issues in 5-10 years. The lamination schedule is going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit more durable. The bottom of the boat, the lifting strakes are going to be a little bit chunkier, which gives you a better ride. All of that stuff goes into it. The mid-tier, they're good, safe boats. They're quality boats. They're just not as rock solid. Okay. They cut to get the price down by 15 grand. They cut a few things. The upholstery is not going to be as durable. The cushioning is going to be a little thinner. The gel coat's going to be a mil thinner, or the lamination schedule is going to be slightly less or less quality material. You get down to the value, and if you and your wife are thinking Grady, I would put the value boats. I would put the Carolina Skiff out of it. And if cruising, and fishing, and your budget could stretch to the premium level, I think you would be take the value level out and stick to mid tier to premium, and then figure out, hey, can I negotiate a ton on a premium level boat to get it real close to that mid tier, and get a great deal from a good dealer. Don't forget that, Bubba, from a good dealer. That's critically important. So that's where I would focus my search is in those style of boats. The Scout Dorado. I sold Scout for a number of years. Great looking boat. Your wife will love the looks of it. Good quality boat. Pretty good riding boat. Some people say it rides a little bit wet if you go out in some slop, but if you're cruising, fishing, that might be one to check out. And like anything, make sure that you do the test drive, the sea trial. Get out on that boat with your son, with your wife, and go to it. Like, hey, how does this run? How does this run offshore? And how is it going to work when I'm actually in the boat? So hopefully that's helpful for you. Drop another comment in, another question if there's something else that popped up. All right. Dustin, good evening, fellas. Guess I just need to go ahead and pull the trigger before Sun Tracker hits 100,000 2024 sport fish with trailer cover 66,150. Yeah, it is. Bass Pro Sun Tracker. What are you looking? 22 XP3. I'm going to take out here might be what's going on. Okay. 200 horsepower or so. Okay. So I believe that there might be a reasonable number of 2023s on the market. Okay. So if you look, I don't know, Dustin, I don't know where you are, but look at this. Raymond, Maine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, looks like 12, 2013. And that might be, I don't know if it was, all right, Port Harbor, Maine, Raymond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they've got 12 2023s listed at 60,565. Okay. Sun Tracker wants to start building 2024s, and they want you to have this conversation of, oh shit, it just went up $6,000, was 5,500, just went up 5,500, 10%. For assuming these are comparable, right? Maybe I should buy the boat now. Okay. So there's some of that potentially going on. Does that mean that they're really not going to be 66,150? No, they probably will, but they're probably going to cut their production down so that they can get some of these 2023s through. And if you look, Foothills Marine is a dealer near me that is a tracker dealer. You can see they're 59, 57. I don't know what engines they've got on them, but the tracker dealers are starting to discount them a little bit because, hey, 2024s are started rolling off the floors in August, started showing up in some dealerships in September, maybe late August, early September. And they want to move those 2023s first, right? Because they start getting expensive for the dealers. So I would look in your area and say, okay, how many of these are in my area? And if you're going to do it, there's no changes that I'm aware of. There's no changes from the 2023 to the 2024, other than it's a year newer when you go to sell it. That matters, that if you're going to sell it in 3 years, it matters more than if you're going to sell it in 15 years. But there is some of that to think about. But look, if we look at Foothills Marine, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're a single dealer. They carry other brands of pontoon. I think they've got I believe they're a Godfrey dealer. But hey, that's four of those boats sitting in the lot is probably a little bit heavier than where they want to be. All right. So that's what I would do, is look in my area. And if you're serious, might be a great opportunity to pull the trigger and save some money, because they are going up next year. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them. Let's see if 7. We got 7 pages of 22. Now these are 7 pages of 2023s in the US. Okay. Could have a 150, could have a 200 on it. But it's a decent number of boats out there for, they're probably 20 per page. So what is that, 140? There's an opportunity to take advantage now if you're ready. If you're not ready, doesn't matter. Will there be some of these available in March? Maybe. But I'll tell you that what Bass Pro Shop and Sun Tracker will do is they'll start shifting inventory around, start pushing it to the south, try to get some of that stuff moved out if they need to. And you won't see those 2024s really being displayed, and certainly not discounted a penny until most of these 2023s are gone. So kind of surprised how few there are over there. Yeah, their cruisers really, really slowed down in the last in most of the marketplace. When you get up the Northeast, it's a little bit different. It's cooler. The boating style is a little bit different based on the water that you guys have up there. But cruiser sales in our market is a tenth of what it was 15 years ago. Wake boats, pontoon boats, or tritoons specifically, are just eating them up. People are saying, hey, we don't really overnight on the boat anyway. I'm 60, 70 years old, and it's so easy just to walk from the dock, walk into the gate onto a very flat surface. It's easy on and off. We can bring all of our kids and grandkids. We got way more space. We're just day boating anyway. Keep it at the marina. And we got a more functional boat for the way people are boating these days. And it's really hard to find. It's really hard to find cruisers, and because they're not making many. If you look at the market share numbers of cruisers, if you look at the market share number of cruisers, I think I looked at this last week. 475 cruisers sold in 2022, 377 in 2023. That's 31 to 40 foot. And if you look, now they don't break it down into smaller, so we don't have cuddies. Yeah, we don't have cuddies in that mix, so those are lumped into the bow riders and deck boats, probably the stern drives. But there's just not many of them, and that boating style has really lost popularity for a lot of areas. Doesn't mean it's a bad style, just means not as many people want to do it like they did 10, 15 years ago. All right. BC 93 Invader with the 150 Mariner might be my next boat. Very nice. Very nice. Make sure you do the good check on that engine. I know you've been around boats, so you know what you're looking at. 80%. They had a few weeks ago. All right, John, let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to play this real quick. Bubba, 211. Dealer is very important. I can vouch for that information. You'll find something no matter what boat. Absolutely went through it. The dealer good, took care of me up to this day. It's so incredibly important. And, it's one of those things that you get so focused on the boat, and you fall in love with this. It's really interesting having sold boats for 5-6 years. It's interesting what people get locked into on the boat. They'll love the color. They'll love the layout. Well, virtually every manufacturer makes the same layouts. There's very few unique layouts but that dealer may not have that layout on the showroom floor, so they think they don't have it. But the quality of the dealer taking care of the customers after the fact is so critical, so critical. All right, John, Captain Matt, I have a 04 220 Select 6.2 liter small block, 700 hours. Should I be concerned? The hours, 6 years, run good? No, not at all. Not at all. I did this video. How many hours is too many on a boat? Let's see if I pop up. Oh, there we go. That's good. So how many hours are too many on a boat engine? And here's kind of the way I see it. If it's well maintained, 1,000 to 1,500 hours is the sort of the useful life of a pleasure boat. Now I make that distinction because a pleasure boat is used once a week, once, twice, 3 times a month, versus a commercial vessel, which is used every day, right? Every day, oil's changed every 2 months, maybe every month. Impellers changed every 2 months. Gear lube is inspected. They're doing the maintenance, and that engine is running. So you can get 2, 3. A buddy of mine that is a Charlotte boat repair on Lake Wylie. He does the maintenance on a fleet of rental boats. And he's like, we can get 2,500 hours out of these Yamahas. They've got 70s, 90s, 150s. He's like, we can get 2,000-3,000. I think he said 3,500 was the most they got out of one. He's like, because I'm on those engines and I'm doing something to them at least once a month, if not more often in the season. And because of that, he's on, everything's getting greased. Everything's always lubed up. Everything's always in motion. So it doesn't have a chance to seize. It doesn't have a chance to sit there. It doesn't have a chance to get moisture in it unless something's broke. And if it does, he finds it within, worst case, it happens the day after he does the oil change. Within 30 days, he's in there again, draining everything and inspecting everything. And I've been with him as he's doing the work, because I've got a couple videos on the channel where he's going through and doing service work on a Yamaha and a Mercury. But so you at least got another 300 in to hit that 1,000 mark. But if you've had it for 6 years, it's been running good, you maintain it well, you're doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing, there's no reason why you shouldn't get another 900 hours out of that boat. Let's say, I don't know where you're at, but 50 hours a year is about average for lake boaters. I'm assuming you're a lake boater based on the style of boat. But, for 900 hours, that's another 18 years. 100 hours, you got another 9 years in it if you take good care of it. Now, you got to do the maintenance. You got to do everything that it calls for. Keep good fuel in it. Keep good oil in it. Make sure that you're changing that impeller, pulling off the prop, getting all the fishing line off it if you have that. But you should be in really good shape. Unless you want to hear that you're going to have a lot of expensive repairs and you should buy a new boat. If that's what you want to hear, let me know, and I can make that video so you can show your wife. I'll hook you up. But no, you should be in good shape if you take good care of it. All right, let's see how Brock did. Get everything out of my dad's boat, leave the hatches open tonight. Rained all day at the lake. 1 p.m. Visibility was almost zero. Getting back was bad. Let's see. Got to test out my FTX Fog Togs rain suit. Stay nice and dry until I take it off, get it in the truck. Well, I want to hear, Brock, how you did. I want to hear what you caught. Yeah, that's when you get. I just did one of the recent videos that I did was about bad habits that boaters have, and I started off with putting away the boat wet. Like that is habits that ruin your boat. This video right here, I just released it last week. It is so bad for it to put the cover on with it wet, damp, and then not come back to it for a week or two, especially when it's 80, 90 degrees out. And yeah, you got to pull everything off. You got to let it air out. You got to let it sit in the sun and get that baby dried out when you get caught in the rain. And leave the hatches open, leave the seat cushions open. That Brock's on a bass boat, so it's mostly hatches. But you know, when I put my father-in-law's boat away, and he kind of like questioned me when I did it the first time, I leave all the seat cushions open. I'll prop them open a little bit just to get airflow because there's probably some moisture in there, and it makes a big difference in the way your boat looks couple years down the line. Bubba, you're very welcome for sure. All right, so Houston, Texas. So we'll go back. I think I got length, year. Why don't they want me to do location? Texas, Houston. All right, so in Houston, we've got one. I don't know how. Well, this is all of Texas, but so there's quite a few. I mean, Texas is a big state, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12. So 12 of these in Texas is yeah, John, 100K for a pontoon these days. I mean, you are not even the coolest boat on the lake now. I mean, you can this I don't even know how much it's going to be yet. I haven't seen one. The Barletta, what are they calling it? Reserve, I think. The Barletta Reserve. Yeah. This boat right here, I bet with a 200, I bet it's 120, 130, 150 maybe. And that's MSRP probably, but it is they're getting up there. They're getting up there. Let's see here. Couple small updates. Did away with Power Bimini because motor problems. New console with digital gauges. New fish push button switch panel. Yeah, boat models like every 5 to 10 years. 7 is kind of the usual. They'll change the design of stuff, but really with pontoons, you can change the helm, you can change the console, you can change the upholstery, but the layout's the layout. Like they've added as many new ones as they could possibly think of, but there's not much else you can do to freshen it up. So, there'll be minor changes, but pontoons, I mean, for shoot, I bet they haven't made significant changes except for when they did the seat back storage. Whenever they came up with that design, like 2, 3, 4 years ago, that's probably been the biggest design change that Sun Tracker has made. Which that's awesome, by the way. I love that storage on the seat backs on the pontoon, which they patented, so nobody else can do. I think that's a brilliant, brilliant idea. Um, yeah, it is a little big town on the pontoon. On the pontoon, one of my favorite songs. I'm a country guy at heart. So, matter of fact, my wife just saw that George Strait was coming to town, and she's like, "We got to go." So, hopefully, I think it was spring of 2024. So, hopefully, we can get some tickets to that. Go see my man George, the King. Yeah, it's unbelievable where the pontoon pricing has gone, and then you throw a twin on the back of it, and twin 300s, twin 400s, and it's nuts where they're going. Forgot to ask you if you know about seed dealer cost. I do. That came out when I was selling boats, and the dealer industry, the retail industry was freaking out. This guy, he used to be a dealer that started it, and they were like, everybody was cussing them because they're like, there goes our margins, everybody's going to have the invoice. And but the reality is, in order to get that information, he's got to get it directly from a dealer. And the info one, it was super hard for him to get that information, so it's not very accurate. It may not be like the pricing is going to vary depending on the type of dealer that they get it from, because if you're a high volume dealer, you're going to get some discounts. If you're paying cash for boats, you're going to get a discount. If you order, there's a number of different ways that dealers get discounts from the manufacturer when they buy. And so if he's getting his hands on those invoices somehow, there's a variance of how accurate they are. And then if there's price changes during the year, like there has been, probably through that, hopefully at this point. But the information just isn't very accurate. And essentially, what he's done with the business model is it's a marketing or an ad revenue versus the lead generator. So he was hoping to generate the leads and sell them to the dealers, I think was his model. But when you ticked them off with your bait, with your cheese, well, this is what's going to attract the people to my website. The dealer's going to be like, I don't want to pay you money to continue doing that. So it's not a bad checkpoint just to see, but I wouldn't take it as gospel. I definitely wouldn't take it as gospel. Strange to see pontoons on the ocean. Yeah, that you can. Here's my belief on that. You can thank a couple of things. You can thank Avalon Pontoons for that phenomenon. If we go to their YouTube channel and we go back, Joe, was it Joe Wolf? I think is his name. Go oldest. So 13 years ago, where is the one? And I know this because when I got my captain's license, I went in the class was one of the previous owners. He had cashed out and retired, and he was just going to go get a 60-foot catamaran and go cruise around the Caribbean. But he told me that he was on the maiden voyage when Avalon took a Tritoon from somewhere up in the Northeast and ran it down to Florida somewhere. So where is, and they did a whole video series on it. Um, and that was kind of the start. They may have taken it down, I guess, because I know it was. I know it was further along. Okay, so here's one that they did. This is they ran a pontoon from Clearwater to Cuba, and this is 2017. But they did a bunch of other trips before this, and the first one they did was the one this guy was on, and so this is Joe. So this is just this side of crazy. From what I understand, it is he is totally right. Is they jumped on this boat and they're pontoon guys, so they didn't have a lot of ocean experience. And a boating magazine writer got on the boat with them. He had his foulies on, his foul weather gear. He had his PDF on. He had like he was ready for this trip. And all the other guys, they were wearing shorts and flip flops. And it was Joe. It was the cameraman. It was the marketing guy. I forget what his name was. I've got it in my thing, but um, and they ran down. And he said, as soon as that rider had the chance to get off the boat, he did. And he let everybody else continue on that trip. But that was sort of the introduction to pontoons can go in the ocean. And they found they discovered a lot of issues in the first couple of years that if you leave a pontoon in the salt water without being painted, well, that causes some serious issues. If you use the wrong type of bottom paint on the tunes, if you use bronze, that dissimilar metal causes pinholes and your pontoons are going to sink. There was a lot of learning over the years, but I think that was a big impact as well as having the increased horsepower. So the tri-tunes putting 150s, 250s, 300s on them also opened up the performance to say, okay, this might work on the coastal environment. Can tell you from educated perspective, pontoons have no business on the ocean. It's now when I say the coast, because if you're out in the bay, if you're in the intercoastal, if you're running around in brackish rivers, I think they can be totally fine. Now, if you get into anything over a 2 foot swell, you're in you're in dangerous territory like real quick. So you got to really pay attention to the weather. You got to stay in protected areas, and there's no reason you should be anything offshore in one of those for sure. So, but in the bays, in protected waters, in some of the rivers and the ICW, um, they can be just to head to the sandbar. They can be a good option, but you got to know the limitations and you got to know how to drive them, and don't take them through Haulover Inlet when everything's compressed together and it's super dangerous. Um, all right, I'm waiting to see if Bo's going to send me a video of something. It's crazy what people will take out into the ocean. Been out 70 miles in my Hatteras and see a 16-foot 50 Mercury. Yeah, it is. Just because you can buy a boat doesn't mean you have the brains. I've had people ask me that, and I've had people that I mentioned Rhonda in from Myrtle Beach, and they're loving their pontoon in Myrtle Beach. But there's great intercoastal waterways there, or restaurants on the intercoastal, and that's where they do most of their boating. Um, Here in Washington, I don't know if anyone else does. We see 12-foot John boats, tiny kickers going out the inlets off the Columbia River. Um, yeah, it is. It's crazy. All right, let's see. Ray, welcome in Puerto Rico. Welcome from Puerto Rico. We don't have pontoon tri-tune dealer down here. Can you recommend a dealer in Florida? I have to fly there visit for a Sea Ready Tri-Tune. I don't know. I don't know of anybody specifically in Florida. Let's see. Who do I know in South Florida? South Florida Marine. I don't know if they've got a pontoon line. They're master. I know okay, so they've got Tahoe. Um, so that's actually Avalon Tahoe is are the same company essentially, just different brand. So you can talk to them. Saltwater Mastercraft. But you can talk to who's down there. Quest. I wouldn't do a Quest pontoon. But you got to figure out how you're getting it to Puerto Rico. That yeah, you gotta figure out your route. Like you get caught in a storm if you think you're gonna run it, run it to Cuba. That like I said, these guys did it Clearwater to Cuba pontoon adventure, and they did it in you can see it's probably Avalon branded, but you can see it's a Tahoe. They're the same, and they did it on a twin engine. Um, 600-mile round trip from Clearwater to Havana. Join the journey 10-part video series. So you can watch another pontoon doing it. Just make sure you've got the skills, make sure you've got the game plan, and you better watch the weather. That would be my advice to you. But you can check with them. You can check with South Florida Marine. And I wish I could remember. I can't think of their names down there. Um, it's like Jada or something like that. Jana Woods maybe is what it is. So anyway, um, that would be my best. That would be my only person that I can think of that has pontoons down there. Danger zone for small boats like that, especially at the mouth of the old base. Yeah, there's some. It's if you here's the thing about the water is if you've never been out there on the water, you don't know what it's like, and if you've been out there on a calm day, you don't know what it's like when it gets nasty. And there's some spots where it can get nasty like that, and you're like, oh, what just happened? We were having a great time, and now we're clenching our butt cheeks, and we are scared to death. Question on Lake Wylie: how is it? Traffic, marina choices, nitty gritty. So Lake Wylie there's probably 7 marinas. They don't do there's no transient slips typically. Now, if you call, you might be able to find a spot to just tie up on a side dock somewhere. There's three restaurants that are from Nice. The Papa Doc's is the main one, the biggest one. That it's a nice on water restaurant. You got JB Cash, which is up on the north side of the lake. It's very rivery up there. You got to know where you're going. It can get shallow if you take the wrong split where there's an island. But JB Cash, small. It's on the water, but I don't consider it an on water restaurant because you can get there by the docks. But when you get into the restaurant, there's no patio. There's not much of a view of the lake. but the food's okay. And then there's a new one that just opened up called Drift. Super high end, super fancy, gorgeous, gorgeous restaurant, gorgeous patios, and that's kind of in the middle of the lake. But traffic wise, it's like most lakes. It's busy Saturday, Friday from 5 on, maybe. Saturday, Sunday, it gets busy, but at 6 o'clock on Sunday, it all dies down. And when I say busy, it's you can go to parts of the lake that are 10 minutes away and it's not busy. You can find some spots, but if you stay in that middle section near Papadox, near the Buster Boyd Bridge and the Buster Boyd Landing, if you look at it on a map, that's sort of the center of the lake, and that's where most of the activity is. But if you go to one side or the other, you can find some places. There's two sandbars on the lake. One's a little bit more family friendly. One's a little bit more partying, and but it's a nice lake. Uh, the more popular one for tourists is Lake Norman. It's 45 minutes away, which you could hit both, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. But Lake Norman has a lot more restaurants, probably 20, maybe 25 marinas. You could probably find a transient slip there. They've probably got 10 restaurants that from just a apps and taps, kind of an app place and beer joint to something like Hello Sailor. That's really really nice, beautiful marina overview, and they've got two or three sandbars. One's a crazy party area. Couple other ones are a little bit milder, but it's a lot busier, a lot of traffic, a lot more partying, a lot more social lake. And so when I go there, it's I'm on high alert when I'm running the boat. And there's also some pretty dangerous shoal areas that you got to really pay attention to the markers, because you'll think you can make this cut through, but there's rocky shoals there, and you'll tear your boat up in a second. Every year there's props, lower units ripped off, bottoms ripped off, so you gotta be aware of it. But let me know, Jason, if you want to come down, I'll give you a little bit more of a rundown. And I've actually been thinking about, just because I'm here, is doing a video where I tour all of the restaurants and just kind of show how to get to them, the docking, show some video, eat some of the food, and put that video out for local people. John, you're welcome. Sustainability, welcome. Good evening, Captain. Help keep things dry. I run a clip fan for better circulation, especially. Yes, that is a absolute great idea. Matter of fact, I was looking in my store the other day, and we've got so we've got these solar vents that you plug in to the vent cap, or take the other cap off, and you use these as a vent. It's got a little fan in there. I'm thinking about getting one to see how well they work. They're $200 for the different things, but if you keep your boat, they're solar, so you got to keep your boat in the sun. If you keep it indoors, it doesn't really matter. If you keep it indoors, I guess you pull the cover off. But if you keep it in a covered marina slip, I don't know how well they would work. But yeah, anything to get airflow through, and I like that clip fan idea, is great. And that's what made me look into these. Is I'm like, all right, some sort of a solar panel to a fan is a great setup for somebody that's on the water, or keeps their boat somewhere outside that isn't nearby, where if you do get it wet, you can set the fan up, use solar power to run it. And I want to say Brian Boyles does something like that on his pontoon up in West Virginia. There was somebody that was talking about that, but I don't remember exactly who that was. That's a great idea. Thanks for sharing it. Top of the line Harris to start at 185. Yeah, Boater Tom went from a Sea Ray to a Harris, and It's insane where I remember when I was selling, the most popular boat that I sold was a 22-foot Tri-Tune, the Harris Cruise model. So their value model with the Tri-Tune, which was a sport tune, a 2/3 tune with a 150. It was a great boat, 39.9, no trailer, but under 40,000. A family could get that boat. They could do all the water sports they want. They could do everything. They could put 10, 12 people on it, and have a great time on Lake Wylie. It was a perfect boat for younger families on Lake Wylie. And I helped a lot of boaters buy that boat, and they loved them. They loved them. But that boat now, 85 grand. And that was, I mean, 2013. So 10 years ago, and they've doubled. They've doubled since that time. Tri-Tune 180 plus of 400 Bennington. Yeah, it's they don't do the refreshes often, but yeah, 180. I'm a Four Winds Bow Rider owner. Welcome, Paul. Just starting to look into pontoons. What's the major advantage of a Tri-Tune 23-24? Added stability, better tracking. So, Vantage. Thank you, Lewis. That's the Boston Whaler dual console. Well, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Vantage. I just saw that. I'm like, that's it. So, all right. I'm not sure what you're asking exactly. Advantage of the Tri-Tune or advantage of a Tri-Tune over your Four Winds. So put that in the chat, but I'll give you my thoughts on what I think you're asking, and then dial me in. So the advantage of the Tri-Tune over the Four Winds is stability. I wouldn't really say tracking, and smooth ride. So Paul, I don't know what body of water you're on, but I can tell you a Tri-Tune with the 150, 200 plus, you get that baby trimmed up and at just a little bit of a bow up attitude, and you can glance over big chop, even even white caps in some situations, not every, but white caps on a smaller lake, and it's just going to glance over them, and it's going to be like nothing. Whereas if you had your Four Winds, and I'm assuming your Four Winds is under 24 feet, based on the Tri-Tune 23, 24-ish. Um, you know, your Four Winds trimmed up and rolling at that same speed is going to get pounded because you've got three little V hulls slicing through it, and you're really just gliding on top of all that chop. Versus your V hull is, it's truly running through it, and it makes a world of difference in the comfort. Um, the operation costs. I'm making the assumption that your Four Winds is a stern drive. The outboards, they're quieter, they're more fuel efficient, they take off quicker. So your acceleration, even though you got this big, huge living room on the water, when you put the hammer down, and assuming you power it right, a 200 with 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people on the boat, and some gear and a cooler, you put the hammer down and you just go, because there's not that same level of bow rise and coming up. It's like this. It's like whoop, and you're already on top of the water because you've got so much flotation, and the boat's fairly light. You've got big 25, 27-inch aluminum tunes that are filled with air. You've got plywood decking, and then you got furniture. So it's reasonably light, and it's not like that stern drive that's got to get all of that fiberglass weight up out in the top. And your stern drive is lower in the water, which gives you a different angle, whereas your outboard on a pontoon is just below, that prop is just below the bottom of that center tune, and so that angle is less too, so it's more of a straight boom, you're going. Now it doesn't say it doesn't turn as well. it's a different experience. It's a different experience driving a pontoon versus driving a bow rider. Not harder, just different. It's just a different feel. I'm a pontoon guy myself. I think they're on a freshwater lake for most families. I think they're so practical. It's but I also like a minivan. Like my sister, like I'm not getting a minivan. My sister-in-law, I'm not getting a minivan. We got a minivan. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. I love practicality. I love functionality, and I think a Tri-Tune does that. And their performance based now. Like sustainability. You know, his Bennington Q with the 400, that baby will outrun the Four Wind. It'll outrun a Cobalt. It'll outrun maybe a Formula. That baby is going to scoot, and it's going to scoot quick. You put the hammer down on that thing, it's going to throw you back in your seat just a little bit, and it's going to glance over any rough chop that the Baja that's running next to you that's all jacked out is he's having to come off the throttle a little bit because it's so rough. And sustainability can just roll on. Roll on. Roll on. All right, Dustin, thoughts about settling for a 19 aluminum fishing boat? No, it wouldn't be satisfied, so I'll just ante up and get what's going to be worth it. Yeah, there's Dustin. It depends on what your budgeting looks like, and it depends on what you're going to do. There's a rationale for saying, hey, get what you can afford and get out on the water, even though it's not perfect. And in that case, I would buy used, and I would buy fairly used, so that I knew in a year or two I'm going to sell it. I'm going to really limit my depreciation. I'm going to inspect the crap out of it. I'm going to demo the crap out of it. I'm going to make sure that I got a solid boat so that I've got very, very little depreciation, not a ton of maintenance, not any repairs. So when I go to sell it in a year or two, when I am ready to make the move, I've got some boating experience. I learned what I like. I learned what I don't like. And maybe it makes me make a smarter decision on my next boat, assuming pontoon. But there's also the side of it. Are you going to be cussing the boat every time you go out saying, I wish it was a Tri-Tune. I wish it did this. And you're just disappointed when you go out. So you've got to balance those. But I've known people that have done both, that have just waited, saved up the money, waited till the financial situation was right. And I've had others that just got something less than where they wanted to be, less than what that perfect boat would look like, but it got them out on the water and it got them enjoying the boating lifestyle. And then when things were in a better position, then they made the move up. So it's a toss up. It's a personal decision for sure. All right, we're coming up on an hour and a half here. Let's see here. Off the mouth of the Columbia on the Washington side, there's an old naval base right off the peninsula at the coast. It's a fun stop to have the right boat to see it. All right, so you know what that means. People, if you've been on these lives before, we've got naval base at the mouth. Columbia River. Images. All right, so we've got the jetty coming out here. Let's see if we can get an idea. I wonder if this is it. I watched a training of a guy going through a bar up in I want to say it was the Columbia River area, but where it's a bar is basically where the waters come together, and when the current's right and the tide is right, it basically two sources of water are coming together and just make it very very turbulent. And I want to say it was somewhere around there. That's kind of a cool spot. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find anything that is South Jetty, North Jetty, Jetty A. Yeah, with all those jetties coming in, and they very well could be this. But yeah, you gotta know what you're doing and know what to look for in that water. And that's probably the first time going through something like that. It's probably a good idea to go through with a buddy that knows what's going on. I don't know if this is the spot or not, but it could be. In honor of our lost Jimmy Buffett, CL St. Dreams float. Life is always better on a boat. Absolutely. Yeah, that was saw a lot of posts in the boating community about Jimmy. Something about a boat gives a man hope. Marine Max, Derek. If you were on early, let's see. Oh, I think I might have closed that one. Yeah. Um, Marine Max, Derek. I don't know if that's a question about Marine Max, but we had talked about Marine Max earlier. Yeah, Marine Max is, or if that was the question about the pontoon from May, from Jacksonville by ship. Okay, yeah, that then from Jacksonville. Um, if you want to buy from Jacksonville, who is the dealer down there that I know? Pontoon dealer. Jacksonville Marine. They've got Bennington. So Bennington would be a good quality. I would probably not do the S. I would probably do an L. Um, at a minimum, do the L, and in that environment. And I would probably stay on the premium side of things, on the higher quality, just because of in the saltwater, quality of construction is a bigger deal. So they're more likely, and you can talk to the manufacturers to use plastic spacers in between dissimilar metals and do the little things that are gonna make a difference. So Derek, let me know what you mean by the Jackson or the Marine Max comment question mark, because I'm not sure if it related to one or other, or if you're asking if they're a good dealer. And by the way, how have you been? I haven't seen you in the comments recently. Let me know how the research is coming. Okay, advantage of pontoon over a tri-tune. So I've got a video on it that will. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I've got a video. What is it called? Tri-tune versus pontoon. Pontoons versus tri-tune, the pros and cons of each. So if you look at that video, it's 10 minutes long. Um, but it goes into really the advantage. Tri-tune gives you more buoyancy. It also gives you more structural support, so you can put more horsepower on the back. They're built sturdier, so it can take the flex of more torque from the motor, right? So a typical pontoon double tunes can take up to a 115 or maybe a 150, depending on the manufacturer and the model specifically. So the pontoon, you don't get as much buoyancy, which means the more weight you put on, the further down in the water you're going to sink, the less performance you're going to get out of the horsepower because you're chugging through the water, versus the additional buoyancy of a Tri-Tune. You've got 50% more buoyancy. So that's going to raise you up in the water more with the weight, and means you're going to glide. You can glide over the top of the water more. And also because you've got another center beam down, you've got your structural support here, but you got another structural support down the center. It reduces the flex on the deck that and just makes it hold up better, so you can put more horsepower on and more buoyancy is the short version of what I say in the 10-minute video. Let's see here. Finished third today, one fish, 5.3. Guy that rode with me won with 8.4. He was supposed to be in his boat, but wasn't comfortable driving out in the weather today. But they'll at least give you gas money. Yeah, that's smart. It's knowing your capabilities and the situation, and it's probably, as a dude, like it can be embarrassing to say I can't go out. I'm not comfortable going out in this. Hey, Brock, can I run with you? You've been running boats since you were a kid. And I've got confidence in you. That takes some courage to do that, but it's the smart play. It's the smart play, and he's still got a fish. He's still gotten the money. And as a newer, this is for the newer boat, or even not even newer. This is for the boat operators out there that if you get in a situation where it's like it's outside of my comfort zone, saying, hey, I'm not going today, or I'm going to go with somebody that is competent, not just that says they're competent, they can do it, but actually is. Like Brock, I can guarantee you, Brock's not going to go out if he's like, this isn't safe. He's just not going to do it. But if he says, yeah, I can go out in this, I feel comfortable. He's going to make the adjustments to his speed. He's going to make the adjustments to his gear, to whatever needs to be done, so he can go out, have a good, safe time on the water. That's something that I think needs to happen more. Put your ego aside, look at the situation, be honest about your capabilities and your skills, and make the smart play. Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Welcome to the live. Let's see. Can you go into what makes a boat sturdy in choppy water? Dead rise is one factor. What are the others? So there's a couple of things. It is dead rise. So we talked about this earlier, the angle of the bottom. There's also things called lifting strakes. Lifting strakes on a Sea Ray 250 SLX. All right. So if you look at this picture, all right, so these are lifting strakes right here. All right, look at how thick and chunky those are. Now let's look at lifting strakes on a Stingray 25 bow rider. Let's see here. All right, so if you can see, one, if you look at, where did my picture go? Here we go. All right, so if you look at this image, one, you can see the dead rise difference, right? So you can see that angle of it sitting on the trailer, and 1, 2, 3, and you see how thick those are. That gives stability to a boat in the chop, and it gives, when you get up on plane and you trim that engine, it gets the boat in a better position because of the sciencey hydrodynamic stuff that those things do. All right. They're big, they're chunky, but they're super hard to make in the mold. You've got to prep that mold much, much better. They have to be exactly precise, which is less of an issue now with CAD design, where they're designing these molds in a computer versus the old days when they carved a wooden block or a styrofoam block and then made the negative of it. Well, then it was more common to see some wavy chine lines, straight lines, and then compare that to this. It's a 25 foot. You've got one strake right here. There might be a half a strake here, but look at that angle. The dead rise is a lot less, and it doesn't have those big, huge, thick strakes. That's another one that's going to make an impact. So if you see something that looks like that, it's more likely going to ride better in rough chop. The other is just the flat out weight of the boat. And that comes into play a couple of ways because it's got to be balanced weight. So it's got to be a boat that is well balanced so that when you trim it, it holds the trim well, and it's not always wanting to fall off. But it holds the trim well, and it's a well balanced boat, front, back, side to side. The more premium boats tend to be more well balanced, typically. Not always. There's some unbalanced, like I talked about, like the 2000, 2001, 2003 maybe, a 240 and a 260 Sun Deck that Sea Ray made. That baby was tippy. It wasn't balanced well, and it would, unless you got on the trim right away, it would fall off. It would fall off to the side. It was a weight balance thing in the design of the bottom. But the heavier, it's going to ride better in rough chop because it's also going to feel more solid to you, right? So if it's thinner and heavier on the mold, it's going to flex more. You're going to feel it in your feet. You're going to feel it in your body versus a Sea Ray, a Cobalt, a Chaparral in rough chop is going to be, it's got thicker lamination. So it's got a thicker hull, but also the material that they use has different qualities. It's a more expensive material, woven that is in different directional angles, and they think about the direction of the material and the thickness of the material in different spots. So they might put something different in the transom in the back section of the hull versus what they put in the front. That's going to give them the balance for the weight, but it's also going to give different flexibility characteristics, might be the right way to put it. Stuff that you'll never see unless you won't even see it if you core it, take a boat core where you drill into the hull, and then you can see the layers of fiberglass gel or fiberglass resin, whatever the material is. Those are all the things that go into ride quality in rough chop. Okay. So hopefully that helps you, or hopefully it makes sense to you. All right, past pages, welcome back. We're having trouble anchoring our 18-foot bow rider. Norris Cumberland, best anchor. So you should be able to get away past pages just with the number 10 Danforth anchor. So a 10-pound Danforth anchor. But here's the key. Where is my weapon? All right. So this video, it's awful. The quality of the video is awful. The quality of the content, but it's pretty darn good. But the video itself is terrible. get over that part of it and watch this video, how to use an anchor, what's the best anchor, National Safe Boating Week. I hesitated to release these. My marketing guy that helps me with marketing said, don't do it. They're terrible. But I like, it's good information. I'll reshoot it at some point. And I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. So the key is right here. It's the chain. Having 5-foot section of chain on your Danforth anchor. So it goes anchor, shackle, 5-6 foot at a minimum. Now I know Cumberland is deep, so you can maybe go a little bit more. But what's next most important is shackle, line, and then you want to go, I'm going to say 5 to 7 times the depth. 5 to 7 times the depth of water that you're in. So if you're in 10 foot of water, 50 to 70 feet. Now, if you're in 100 foot of water, you probably aren't going to have 500 foot of dock line on your boat. But what I would do in that case is I would put more chain on, and I would put 7 foot of chain, because here's what's going to happen. Here's what the chain does. All right. So I'm going to go full screen here so you can see this demonstration. My anchors are out in the garage. I don't have any of my anchors up here. Otherwise I would show you that. So, all right. So here's what the anchor does, or here's what the chain does. If you've got your anchor shackled directly to the line, every time that a wave hits, it pulls that anchor up off the bottom, right? Now, if you've got your chain and your anchors here, every time you hit a wave, it pulls up that section of chain. Your anchor stays dug in. So what's happening is, if you don't have enough line, you're coming straight up, and every time it bounces, if you bounce more than 5 feet, it's pulling it up, and it's going to mess with your anchor, and those flukes aren't going to stay dug in. You don't have the chain, and you're bouncing, and you don't have enough rope in the water, it's actually pulling that anchor off the bottom. Not only is it taking those flukes and they're not dug in, but they're actually coming out, right? It's coming off the bottom. We talk about it in the Best Boat Captain program, I think is where the anchoring portion is. But it's one of those two things, if not both of those things, that that if you fix that, you'll be in good shape. So the other, 18-foot boat, you can do a box anchor. I started using one. You can see one in this video, or in the video right here. I've got a box anchor, and I've used it. I use it on some boats. The 240 Sun Deck that I run has a box anchor. It's awesome. You don't need a chain on those. You can just drop it straight down. You don't need much scope, but they're heavy, because they're, the 10-pound Danforth with the 5-foot section of chain is going to be several pounds lighter than the box anchor that you would need for that size boat. And the box anchor may not fit into your anchor locker. They don't stow as easily because of the way they fold up. They're longer, and they're heavier. So when I'm in deep water, I don't like to use the box anchor, because they're super heavy to pull up, and if you're doing it by hand, it can be much. But one of those answers should fix you up, and that video will definitely help you out. Thanks so much. Boating in the Finger Lakes, Four Winds, H2, looking at pontoons versus tri-toons. I'm a huge fan for a lot of people. I'll say most people, but a lot of people, the tri-toons. I think, and if you're in the Finger Lakes, it can be a really great option for you. I recommend, if you're not sure, go to Boat Setter or Get My Boat in your area and rent a Tri-Tune for a couple hours and just go run it. Go to an in-water boat show and go to an in-water boat show and go run one. And I think you'll be blown away by the experience. Yeah, yeah. And you're welcome. You're very welcome. Are there any good places to buy a boat? There's a ton of good places to buy a boat, Derek. Come on, man. Yeah, and right now is, you know, if you can pay cash, interest rates are high. Interest rates are higher than what they have been. In my opinion, interest rates are high. The dealers are discounting a ton. On used boats, you're starting to see the pressure on used boats as well as new boat inventory drops. But yeah, there's a ton of places. I am got no problem buying from a private individual. Boater Tom, number and size of tunes is a function of load, buoyancy, motor size, power needed for intended use. Sweet spot length 23. Unless you're on farm pond. Yeah. I would agree with you. 22, 23 feet, anything shorter than that, you're not long enough to get over the third wave. So if you think about the waves like this, if you can hit that third wave, you're level, and that you won't fall off. If you can't hit that third wave, you'll nose down into it. And usually a 22 on a lake, 23 at the coast will get you there. Thank you. I'm a U.S. Army, U.S. PS retiree. Normally rented pontoons around Tennessee lakes, down in Puerto Rico, all coastal, small islands, beautiful beaches, great place, Tri-Tunes and family. That is awesome. That, Ray, I got to tell you, that sounds like a good setup. Yeah, that is awesome. Good. Thanks. Thought maybe MarineMax may have been a place to buy a good pontoon. They're so big, carry a lot of brands. Yeah, it's with MarineMax. There are some great ones. The dealership that I used to sell for, Derek, is now a MarineMax. The manager makes the dealership. Just like anytime you get to a big business like that, some GMs are awesome, like Carl at the one on Lake Wiley. Some aren't as good, and everything flows from the general manager, in my opinion, and that makes a big impact. But they can be a great dealer to buy from. But the small family owned dealer, if they're a good dealer in your area, is just as good. And Derek, you've been a subscriber long enough to know that local matters. Buying from a dealer that's local to you is important, and something that that is as important as the brand. So for sure. Of Aaron C, welcome. Greetings. I want to get a small John boat for my sailboat's dinghy. I'm forced to get an inflatable am I forced to get inflatable for practical purposes? I think so. I'm trying to think. I don't know how to type that. Yeah, I can't think of a reason not to do an inflatable. I think there's just too many advantages to an inflatable in that situation. Is one, they're they're going to be, you can bump them around. You can, if you're towing it, if you're putting on a davit, I don't know your situation, but they're just going to be, I'll say, more durable and easier on your sailboat. Um, you can put the motor on and take it off with, a small motor. I would say I can't think of why you wouldn't go that route. I was trying to see what else came up. Um, um, yeah, I mean, I see that, and I think it might, other than getting punctured, but I don't know. I just $1,000 for this. Let's see, what's the length on this guy? 8.5 foot, and $1,000 for this inflatable that is 8 foot. Um, gosh, I would say, that but I have no, I've got zero experience with it of air and sea, so I've never had a dinghy. I've never even been on a boat that's pulling a dinghy. Um, I've got friends that have them. I've got a friend that went up and down the East Coast for about 5 years on a 50-foot carver. Um, they had a inflatable dinghy that they just stored on the swim platform on a little perch. I don't know why that's escaping me, but and a removable outboard, and it was perfect for them. And now with some of the electric outboards, um, I mean, who did it? Wayne the boat guy. Wayne the boat guy just did a couple of videos that he ran it on his little aluminum boat, and he talks about it. Go check that out. And something like that on a dinghy to me is a very, very nice setup. It can run off just a regular battery, and so I think there's advantages to that setup. But check out that video from Wayne. It's pretty good. All right. It's about right. Point that bass boat to the waves, crest to crest, think driving 5 to 7 waves, Lake Erie. I was that will do it. Yeah, that is. There are conditions that you experience on the Great Lakes, that you experience at the coast, that like lake boaters like myself. There are conditions that I'm like, I'm not going out in that, and I'm probably quicker to say no to going out than most people. One, because it's not enjoyable most of the time. It's just not enjoyable to go out there in too much slop. But yeah, that'll give you the experience. That'll give you the skills and the confidence too. The the boat was crazy water today. Jack plate stayed down, didn't touch the trim. Mid 25, 30 miles an hour before one. Basically fast idling to get back. You literally could barely make out the trolling motor on the front of the boat. Yeah, and that's a whole nother, when you're talking about visibility. That's a whole nother layer, a layer. You've got rough conditions, you've got wind, you've got rain, and then you've got no visibility. All right, pardon me. Repower my Pursuit 328 center console to 800 horsepower. Factory says 600 match, which is very low. I'm going to guess that the Pursuit is a little bit older. What you can do is you can call Pursuit up and say, listen, I've got this HIN number. So give them your haul identification number. I've got this boat and I want to repower it to 800s. Here's the thing. They didn't have twin 400 horsepowers up until a couple of years ago, right? So Pursuit, they had no reason to rate it for higher horsepower than 600 because 300 was the most you could go. Likely, I'm making some assumptions here, but if you're repowering, I'm assuming the boat's a little bit older. So call Pursuit and say, hey, I'm looking at doing this. Can it stand it? Is it structurally built to take it? Check, make sure your transom's solid, make sure you've got no flex, no rot, no nothing going on with the transom, and that's good. And they will give you their opinion on it. I don't know if they'll issue a new plate, a new Coast Guard plate, but I would start there. I would start calling Pursuit and find out what they have to say, and or call it. It can be hard to get a hold of a dealer sometimes, or I'm sorry, a manufacturer sometimes. So you might want to try your local dealer as well and talk to them. Now, they're probably going to try to sell you to do the repower if they're a Pursuit dealer, but I would check with those two places and see. But it may be, hey, this is the max that we think the boat can handle. But my gut tells me if it's a 90 or even 2000 is they didn't have to worry about it. They only had a 300, so twins gives you a 600. That's the max. That's the max we have. So barely make out the trolling motor. Just looked up the name of that base. It's called Fort Stevens. All right, we're over an hour now. Let's throw in your last questions here. Stevens, Washington. Throw in your last couple of questions here. We'll check out Fort Stevens. I'm trying to really see where it is on the water. All right. Jetty Lagoon. Yeah, my guess is it can get nasty coming in and out of here. Yeah. Yeah, you can see this is I find this really cool when you look at satellite images is you can see some of the water differences. And you can see that drop off of the shelf. But sometimes you can even see you can see the shallow water, like right there. You can see that's a shallow area. It's not a bad idea when you're going to new places to go look at the water because you can see that white water building up here. So you've got, you're shallow on this bank. It looks like you might be a little deeper. So if you're coming in, you probably want to stay to that northern side versus if you cut close here, my guess is you're going to run aground if you cut it too close to the side. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Thanks, Bo. All right. The box anchor works well. Cumberland And he's got a 24-foot Sea Fox on Cumberland that he's been running all year. Gotta love the bow riders. My Columbia anchor has worked out pretty well for me. Can hold 22 cabin boat. Columbia, I think yeah, that is for sure. Anchor system. Yeah, that's I've never ever seen that style anchor. But yeah, I can see in current, in a good current, that's going to dig in nice to a mud bottom, to a softer bottom, dig right in with the chain. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. That's what Lake Michigan, 70, 10 miles out from shore. Um, yeah, that's having a windlass in those situations is a good call in my opinion. Is a very good call. All right, folks, I'm going to call it tonight. Help me name my new boat. I'm thinking sleigh liner. I like that. My daughters they love to sleigh. That's Dad, that's sleigh. I like that. That's good. That's good. Does size make a difference in how many lifting strakes? Yeah, that's why I looked at 25 versus 25. Um, and that's why I did the 250 SLX. I knew that had big, huge, thick, chunky, long, and I knew it had three. The 23's only got two, for sure. Just looked at my Shap, has two of them. Don't mind maybe looking and see what you think. Yeah, it is. The Sea Ray 230 SLX only has two of them as well, because 23 2000. I want to say yours is a 21, Matt. I'm not sure, but it'll be the same. 230 SSI. Yeah. But look at how thick they are. Well, there we go. Look at how chunky they are, and that's the part that's critical. Um, the the third one, it is on the 250. You can see it's because it's a longer boat. It can be You've got a little bit more room to make it work. And this one right here, I don't believe goes all the way back. I think if you were to look at this from the back, I'm not sure that you would see three all the way back. I think that third one only goes about 2/3 of the way down. I don't know that for 100% fact, but I think that's the case. Um, and that's what I would expect on a 23. I would only expect two of them. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to. I was wondering if they had a straight on from the back view. Nope. All right. All right. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Best anchor, the folding triangle, made out of stainless steel, no chain needed, much less line needed. Yeah, that is on deep lakes for sure. I've tried the box, but I haven't. I saw the triangle one at West Marine the other day, and I almost bought it, but I was going somewhere else, and I was like, I don't want to mess with it. But I'll try that next year. I'll try that next year, and that's holding on a big old heavy pontoon too, big heavy tri-tune for sustainability. All right, Kings in the City, have a good one. Brock, have a great one. Should have got a video of that dock today. The DNR boat pulled up behind mine. The bilge shot water out about 5 foot behind the motor. The bilge kicked 2 times. Yeah. Well, that's that. You can't help it. That's rude, but you just can't help it. Hopefully, they had a sense of humor about it. Uh, Adios, Rob. Thank you guys. Another fun one. Thank you everybody for showing up, and we'll catch you all next weekend. Take care, everybody.